So what's up, fellas? This video is about burning synthetic motor oil. I've been talking to some people and reading the forums, and come to find out it's there's a big misunderstanding about the combustion of synthetic oil. A lot of people don't realize that you can't burn synthetic oil on fire up. You have to fire the machine up on a gasoline mix. You have to mix a little bit of oil with gas to get the system heated up, because the flash point of synthetic oil is a lot higher than most waste oils or just average motor oil. And we'll get to that in a second. Basically what I'm doing right here is just filling up an oil pump that I've built with a transfer pump. The pump's a lot faster than that. I'm just worried it's going to come spraying out of here. I've decided to connect this valve onto the tank for my fill port, because taking that spud off and on was a real pain in the neck. So this is going to work out a lot quicker for me. Just crank that valve and bam, I'm open. But this thing holds 3 gallons. Quite a bit in there now. And I just thought I'd show you how I fill this thing up. This is pretty much the easiest way. Definitely getting some kind of use out of this $50 pump. I tried to use it to run waste oil burners, but it's just too big. It's way too much oil. Now you could probably run a massive oil burner with this, but like something over 140,000 kilowatts. Anything over that, this pump's great. But let's get on with the experiment here. Back to the concept of what do you have to do when you're burning synthetic motor oil. A lot of people don't realize that actual commercially built waste oil burner heaters will not run on pure synthetic motor oil. They won't run on gear oil either. They'll tell you that in the manuals, all that stuff. So what guys do is they'll add a little bit of diesel fuel to bring the flash point down, because the fire point of Royal Purple synthetic motor oil, which is what I'm using, is 460 degrees. The flash point when it's used is 405. When it's brand new, it's 420. The thickest and hardest to vaporize fuel oil, number 6, is 150 degrees is the flash point. So waste oil, that's supposed to say waste oil. Waste oil is right around 295 degrees is the estimation of mine, because motor oil is at 300 degrees, but when you use it, the flash point goes down just a little bit. And vegetable oil, that's 250 degrees, and gas is -45. So basically what we're going to check out here today is some fuel blends that I often work with when using synthetic motor oil. Now this fuel blend here is for the purpose of igniting the waste oil burner. You can also burn one of these fuel blends if you want a super hot, lean flame, oxygen rich. This is the way to go when you're using synthetic. You're going to want to add just a little bit of gas to bring that flash point down. You can either do this, or you can redesign the nozzle and the burners. It's just easier to add just a little bit of gasoline instead of tinkering with a bunch of complex stuff. Now, the only waste oil burners that will burn anything you put in them are the ones that have an oil heater. Some of them have a little tank that heats up like a gallon at a time to the point that it's boiling before it's pumped into the system. That's how hot it gets siphoned into the unit. So there are units that will burn synthetic motor oil. So before you blow me up in the comments, I know that, but those units have preheaters on them. If you preheat the motor oil, you don't have to add gas, but that's somewhat of a feat. Preheating oil can lead to some residue buildups and all kinds of varnishing, and it's a complicated process. It can be done, but it's a pain in the neck. There's a lot of stuff involved, a lot of equipment, a lot of cleaning, a lot of this other nonsense that can be avoided with a simpler design or by just adding a little bit of gas to the oil. gas is like $2.50, $3 a gallon. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. If you're running a forge, a single gallon of gas would be way more than you would need for fuel blending. But what we're going to do today is a little experiment. We're going to add some gasoline to this cup, and then we're going to keep adding oil in increments, like 2 parts gas, 2 parts oil, you know, and so on. And then we're going to take an eyedropper and fill this up about 1/4 of the way, and we're going to light it. And we're going to find out what oil ratio just barely burns at all, and we're going to find out what oil ratio won't burn in a burner cup at all, just to give an idea of what type of ignition blends you might want to consider. So what we would do, I typically go 6 parts oil, 1 part gas. And that's usually a fairly decent ignition oil, because if you get it too hot and you have a large combustion chamber bigger than this, it puts off quite a nice explosion. It scares the hell out of you. Might even get the cops over at your house, because it would definitely trigger the gunshot triangulation systems and all that. Anyway, so what we're going to do, we'll be administering some oil using this oil pump. This thing is awesome at delivering very calibrated amounts of oil. I've been using it for that. I can set this thing to the T right at a milliliter line with this, just by cranking this valve and having this thing set at like 20 psi pressure in the tank. And this tank here will be at like 120 psi's. But I have a regulator connected going into the tank. The tank is regulated pressure. This is the high pressure reservoir now. Didn't have to do that, but it gives me a higher control of oil flow than had I just put oil in here and then filled that up with a bunch of pressure. It also allows me to put more oil in there, so I can fill that thing up completely. And you want kind of a little bit of an air reservoir for good action. So let's get on with this test. We're going to start off with, well, let's see, as far as the increments, we're going to do this a little bit different. We'll start off with 20 milliliters of gas, and we'll do 20 milliliters of oil, and we'll ignite that and see what it looks like burning, and we'll move up from there, adding oil until it just doesn't light anymore. So let's check that out. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to take a little bit of gas, and I'm going to try and get right to the 22 or the 20 millimeter mark. Okay, now I'm going to administer 20 milliliters of oil. Oops, I need that back. Here we go. Oil's coming up the line there. This is going to be a super hot mix. I really don't even want to light this, just because I know how insanely volatile it's going to be. But we're going to get a look at it anyway. Okay, that's right on the mark there. Let me get a stir stick here. Once again, I am completely unprepared. Gotta be something around here. Put it out loud. It's almost like there's no oil in it. Like I said, we're going to do it just because we want to look at it and observe the intensity of the flame at these ratios in an incremental little catalog here. Now I want to try to put enough to where I don't burn all the gas out of there and then alter the ratio, and I'm going to try to put it out instantly. So let me find something suitable for that. Perhaps a glove on my hand would suffice. And let's give this a little touch off. Take a look at it. You can see that burns very well. Now I'm going to dump that right back in here. And we're going to go way up with this ratio here. We're at 2 parts gas, 2 parts oil. I'm going to add another 4 parts oil and take it up to 80. That'll give us 6 parts oil and 2 parts gas. Of course, we can redo these numbers with fractions and all that, but this is just for observation. So basically what we got here now, there we go, we are right at 80 milliliters. So we have 20 milliliters of gas and 60 milliliters of oil. And we're going to stir that up. Now I don't know what the effects of not stirring this very well are. There's a chance that things are going on I can't see. Like this may just be a very horrible mix. I would imagine it diffuses quite rapidly, and that right there should be plenty of mixing. If you're a chemist and you do like an analysis and stuff and lab work and you think I didn't stir this enough, let me know. And I'll make it a point to be a little more thorough. Okay, so here we go. 6 parts oil, 2 parts gas. And it just went out. Nothing real fancy there. But it still burns. So this would be a good touch-off fuel right here. However, if you want to spare on gas, but you want to run a really lean, super oxygen-rich hot flame, you can add a little gas to raise the flash point. We are going to go to 100 milliliters of oil and see if this stuff will still auto-ignite, because straight synthetic oil won't light in that canister at all. I damn near have to boil it, and I'll go ahead and show you guys a demonstration of that. Man, I'm loving this pump, dude. The way I can dose like that and just give perfect amounts of fluid. Definitely glad I built this oil pump. Here in a week or 2 or so, it's gonna actually be a water pump. I'm gonna be using it to run a steam blaster I built, a steam degreaser. It's going to be the water pump for a steam coil boiler, a little monotube boiler that goes on the end of a propane tank. Okay, that ought to be good enough. Just by thinking about how the way food coloring kind of mixes in water, surely that was enough mixing. Now I'm going to put quite a bit of this in here. I'm going to say it's not going to light, but you never know. Yeah, it did light for just, there it goes, just barely lighting there. It goes right back out. If it got hot, it would probably stay lit. Yeah, not quite, but that would be a good burn mix. 20% gas in your oil. That's still quite a bit of gas. Let's crank it up a little bit more. Let's go to 110 milliliters and see what that does on the burn here. Oops, I forgot to dump this back in there. Very important I don't make mistakes like that doing this. hell. Okay. Now with that small of a change, I probably ought to mix this for quite a while. I sure as hope this is all in the camera frame. Not a very good cameraman yet, if you haven't noticed that. There's no going back and reshooting that scene. I have not done that. Okay, so this is probably not going to burn. We've already seen 20%. Now we're up to 110 milliliters. So we are, what is that, 10%? That ain't 10%, is it? 100 parts oil, or 100 milliliters of oil to 20 milliliters of gas. No, I got that wrong. My bad. It's 90 parts, 90 milliliters of oil, and still kind of burning. And 20 parts gas. That still kind of puts off a little flame if you get it hot. See that? Okay, now it's just vaporizing itself. So that mix still ignites. We're going to keep going with this and see what, in case we decided to make a fuel blend. That's what the purpose of this video is to kind of help you guys out decide what type of fuel blend you might want to do, rather than sit there doing all this testing. Okay, so we're at 110. We're going to take it up to 120. Okay, that is 120 milliliters. So now we're at 100 milliliters of gas, or 100 milliliters of oil. I'm sorry, it's getting late, fellas. And 20 milliliters of gasoline. Just some crap 89 octane, but that's what we want. That's the hot stuff, believe it or not. Okay, this is super thick. It's almost as if no gas is in there. But she's still lighting. So we're also going to do a demonstration showing how just straight oil won't light. My luck, it will. Didn't in the test earlier. The oil I just put in here inside this pump came out of an unknown canister that wasn't marked, meaning there could potentially have been a small amount of gasoline already in this stuff, because I do use it for this purpose of the waste oil burning, and sometimes don't always use all the fuel. Okay, barely got a little lick of flame there. Yeah. I'm going to do a hot start on it now. We've seen how the touch off didn't work. Now let's see if a hot start works. Hot start ain't working. Okay, it will not stay lit, but it is a hot oil. We can still get it to burn. Okay. So let's do a quick little demo here. I'm going to dump, I need to burn any gas traces out of this. Okay, definitely a little hot there. So, you gotta let this cool down a second, because that will alter the test. And rub it on this aluminum. This aluminum will cool it down nice. Yeah, if this thing's too hot, it'll definitely mess me up. That was kind of a done move on my part, because we don't want to heat the oil. We want to show what this stuff does at regular temp. So give me just 1 second to cool this bad boy off. And that ought to do it. So I'll just put a bunch in there so we don't get a heating effect of the oil. We'll fill this thing up about halfway. I'm gonna hurry up and try and hit it. Okay, nothing. Okay, now I'm gonna do a touch off light, which is where I heat it for a second. Did do a touch off light. That's when it's super hot though. As I said, the stuff that's in here might have had a small trace of gas already in it. It's straight out of the tank. I'm not really getting any action to speak of. And when I say a small amount of gas, I do vaguely remember taking that glass jug that we seen and dumping about a shot glass of gasoline into that. But I can't remember for sure, and it appears that's the case because this stuff is burning just a little bit. So what I'm going to do is find some different waste oil. We're going to take another sample and try and ignite it and see if it'll touch off at all. I have this stuff here that I don't believe has anything in it. It's super thick too. It seems like it's a lot thicker. So let's give that a shot. Nope. Get it really hot, it'll burn. That's with any oil though. It's a lot deeper of a puddle here though. That might be affecting it. So there you have it. From what we have seen, it's pretty much behaving the same. So I don't think there was any gas in this. It does still light up a little bit, but bear in mind I am hitting it with an extremely hot blowtorch. So the fact that it won't stay lit, I guess the amount of time that it stays lit after the flame is off of it is what we really need to look at, which is just literally seconds. But from what we observed there, you can make a decent mix with 20 parts gas and 20 parts or 100 parts oil. I'm thinking about too many things at once here. This is the final burn test, just for a quick comparison of what we just seen. Yeah, that stays lit just a hair longer because it's got that gas in it. So, just an idea. From what I've seen there, I kind of would recommend maybe, I almost want to see that one ratio again where we were at 80. That was a good ignition oil, it looked like. We'll go ahead and try that one more time. I'm going to put 20 milliliters of gas and 80 milliliters, or actually I'm only going to be putting 30 in there. All right, so I just want to see this one ratio one more time. It's going to be 80 parts total, 20 parts gas, and 60 parts oil. Does that seem like a pretty good, decent, hot ignition mix? That's what we're looking at right here, is a potential ignition mix. To get the system up and running, to get it hot. Notice this air compressor hasn't kicked on at all, which is really cool. That just shows how well this thing pumps. It uses hardly no air whatsoever to pump quite a bit of oil. Well, it's using the air obviously, but what I'm saying is a very small air compressor can run this pump. Okay, there's 80. Give that a mix. Oh yeah, that's a pretty wet mix. This might be a little too hot. We're looking for an ignition mix here. I'm no longer interested at what point it no longer burns. It smells very gassy. I'm putting quite a bit in there so that vaporization by the flame doesn't become a huge factor. We want to observe just the effects of the flame, not of the vaporization. It's actually not very hot of a mix at all, but I bet it would be a good ignition mix still. I would kind of like my ignition mix to stay lit for a second or two. So maybe it'd be best to bring that down to, we'll do a 70 total. I'm not going to do it again, but I think that'd be best just to go 5 parts oil and 2 parts gas. Would probably be about a perfect ignition mix. That right there isn't bad. That's actually pretty good. I think I like that mix. So I'm gonna call it a day on that one. Just thought I'd share that because a lot of people, if you look on the search engines either, a lot of people on keyword searches, a lot of people want to know if you can even burn synthetic oil. A lot of people have had problems putting synthetic oil in their commercial waste oil burner and it won't burn it. So this here is just kind of touching on that subject. Hope this helps some of you guys out and relieve some of your pain and suffering if you're trying to burn or build a waste oil burner that's just not working. That's basically what the problem is. It's just synthetic oil. It's just too hard to burn.